Defense is ranked #1 right now in the league. Some of the players talked about, but they feel like there's other things that they got to get better at. What are some things that you feel like they still can get better
Well, there are some things they can improve on, most certainly, and they've done a really good job working on those. You have some deficiencies in some areas. I think part of it, too, and the guys know if you're going to talk about one thing, you're talk about takeaways. If there was something that we could do, we could create a few more. They're pretty good right now, and we're not taking the ball away like we're capable. Just imagine if we do get that done.
The word I've heard from players and Steve and even Peppers when he said this defense could be that good was trust. He noticed it way back. How big is that when you're trying to build a top team like this?
Well, I think the biggest thing is it's about being able to trust that the guy next to you is going to be where he needs to be. And it goes back to the old analogy about having the guy in the foxhole. And I think that's big. So if you can trust the guy and believe he's going to be where he needs to be, it takes a lot of pressure off of you.
When you were with the Bears and the defense y'all had that was so good, is that a word that y'all used back then, or is that something you just felt? Or?
I think it was felt more than anything else. There's times where you didn't have to even say a word. A look could be all you needed, or a hand motion or something. And I think that's part of having guys that have been together a while involved. When you talk about guys like Luke and Kurt and Thomas, Shaq, and Charles and Cake. Those types of guys that have been there together. They know. You look at the defensive line. That group of guys has played together for a long time. Everybody except for Pep, but everybody knows Pep anyways. So that's a very important word for those guys.
Ron, having been on that defense, what do you think, in your mind, makes a great defense?
Well, I think really being able to step up and make plays when you need them to be made, and sometimes you get lucky, but sometimes it is about stepping up, making plays. And we had a huge step up, with the 4th down play by Kurt, and then the interception, just before the half. There's a statistic that if you score going into the half and score coming out of the half, you're going to win 70% of your games. And we were very fortunate. We scored. If you think about it, our last 2 possessions in the first half, we scored touchdowns, and our first 2 possessions coming out, we kicked field goals. And that I think was huge.
How close are you to seeing what you expected out of this offense with the roster changes that you made last week?
Well, I think we're a ways. We're still feeling our way around it. But I think this past game could be an indication of what we can become. That's exciting, obviously, and we'll see. This is a different defense we're playing this week, different skill sets. So it'll be interesting to see how we play this week.
Along those lines, Ron, with the offense not being a top-ranked offense, Cam says he personally takes it as a challenge that the defense is ranked #1. How much more evolution or evolving does this offense need to do to start climbing?
Well, I will say this, though. Check out time of possession. When you're possessing the ball as well as your offense is, that's helping your defense. So, those are things that will take. That's why it's so important to try and run for 100 yards. That's why it's so important to have those drives that last 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes. Those things help. If you look at what happened in the third quarter, we possessed the ball 2 times. I believe Atlanta only possessed it once. So I think that's important. And I think that's something that you need to look at.
Winning changes everyone's demeanor. I get that. But you've talked, though, about how Cam can be so infectious. Is he at a pretty different place now than he was at the end of last season?
I think so. Last year was a very difficult year. And people go through it. Atlanta's going through it right now. It's difficult. So much expectations, having to try and bounce back, those types of things. And I think, now he's had a chance to reflect on those last 2 seasons he's played, and I think he's learned a lot from him. And you see it in his play, you see it in the way he handles things.
Ron, what do you think about what Michael Velarde's been doing recently in particular?
He's been phenomenal. He really has. He's a weapon for us. He's a solid defensive weapon, and he's bailed us out of some tough spots and has put us in some really good position in terms of flipping fields. He did the same thing again last week. We were backed up. He hit a nice punt, and we got it inside the 20. I mean, those things are important, and they do help the defense as well.
What about coverage teams and just special teams across the board?
I think the coverage teams have been really good. I mean, we've got some guys that are playing gunner really well for us right now. You know, I think we brought Russell Shepard in here with the attitude of knowing that he can help. You know, we got Kevon Seymour, who's been terrific, Kalen Clay, and Samuel Curtis Samuels. Those four guys have just been rotating and been tremendous as far as gunners for it. And what it's done is it's allowed us to take Colin Jones and put him on the inside as a protector, and still, you know, use his speed to get down and do some good things. And I think that's been one of the really neat things. The thing about special teams too is we've got a nice solid core of linebackers that all contribute, you know, and that's important.
What have you seen from the Dolphins so far on tape?
Well, I like who they are in terms of their offense. I mean, they've got a lot of playmakers. I think, you know, watching last week's game, Jay Cutler came out and played was by far their best game offensively and moved the ball very steadily. I think, you know, they got a very physical offensive line. It'll be a good challenge for our guys, obviously. Defensively, they've got some skilled players that are pretty doggone good. And, you know, Ndamukong Suh and Cameron Wake are, I think, terrific pass rushers. So it's going to be it's going to be a challenge for us.
Captain was just talking about how Jarvis Landry, like captain, doesn't get a lot of respect. What do you see out of Landry?
Well, I mean, he's obviously leading the league in receptions. I mean, he works underneath very well. I think that's kind of the outlet for, you know, for what they do in terms of being able to get the ball to somebody that's underneath and open. With the ball in his hands, he's a pretty dynamic guy. And I do agree. I don't think he gets enough respect for his ability to go vertical. I think the guy's a threat because he goes up and he will try to make the play.
What do you think is a key to spreading the ball around for the receiver? I know one of the things you guys want to do was make sure that, you know, with Kelvin going, that you guys would get a lot of the other guys involved. Didn't really hit that last week.
No, but I think, again, the things that we did in terms of trying to run the football were important. I think some of the decisions the quarterback made in terms of running or throwing were really good. And I think we just got to keep playing. I mean, now it's about getting used to guys. I mean, Kalen Clay played more than he's played for us in the two games he played. You know, Curtis Samuel's out there now playing a little bit more for us. Shep is. You know, and Funch is going to, you know, do what he's done. You know, we can use the tight end a little bit more. I think that's definitely something we need to, you know, start trying to figure out. I know Ed does such a great job blocking that sometimes we're hesitant to get him out right away. So, you know, it's just continue to mix the offense the way it is. I thought Mike did a great job last week calling the plays. I mean, you know, we showed a lot of misdirection, a lot of reverse stuff, a lot of play action. You know, we went vertical a couple of times. We had a couple shots at a couple of guys that we missed, unfortunately. But, you know, again, we're starting to open it up and take those shots downfield.
Just a little bit of adjustment, you think, for
I
everybody?
think it's just getting used to the guys that are going to be out there now. And as that time, you know, goes, I think we'll be fine.
Any more clarity at the tight end position?
No, we're going to continue on and keep practicing, and we'll see how it goes.
With Curtis missing kind of most of training camp, do you feel like he's kind of, his connection with Cam is kind of coming along nicely? How do you
Absolutely,
feel about that?
I think that's good. I mean, you know, but he's been active, you know, since the beginning of the season, so I think those guys have developed pretty good relationship, and again, hopefully they'll continue to grow. All right, cool. Thank you, guys.